GMVM. It's September 18th, 2023. I'm CD Demisio, joined by my co-hosts Rana Morgan and Quanta. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so nice to be here with you today.
Good morning. I'm so happy, Rihanna, you're feeling better today. I'm so happy to be here. Good morning, everybody. And I'm so excited about this space today. Let's have a fun one.
Absolutely. Let's have a fun one. Well, this is the VMGM space for those joining us for the first time. Vagobond magazine. Good morning. And what we look at is the Web3 lifestyle, the way the Web3 lifestyle works and what it is, who the key players are in it, what kind of stuff is happening in it. Quanta, tell me, why are you so excited about this space today?
There is so much that has happened in fashion in September. It seems like everybody's just woken up. I think people have returned from their travels, and it's like boom, one after the other. And it's not just digital fashion. I mean, September, we've had the New York Fashion Week, and the London Fashion Week is currently happening. I mean, it's until tomorrow. And digital fashion, we had the Amsterdam Fashion Week also 2 weeks ago. So it's like one after the other. And I think it's the month of September is just like a wake up call. That's why I'm just so excited to share about it here.
There's so much going on. And the digital fashion world is just exploding. People say things, like NFTs are dead and blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, NFTs are far from dead, and digital fashion is the place where they are exploding. Riona Morgan, what are you excited about this week?
Well, I'm excited that I can speak, and I am excited that I am a lot better than I was last week. And I'm excited to go through all of the different things that we've got before us and talk about Web3 lifestyle. And I'm excited to talk about the Cool Cats Thanksgiving Day Parade float. And I'm excited to hear about all of the things you guys have been working on. And so, yeah, let's jump in.
Let's do it. You know what? Let's start with that Cool Cats float because that is such a cool story. I can't believe it. I know, Riona Morgan, you're a longtime Cool Cat holder. I'm not such a longtime Cool Cat holder, but I love the project. Can you tell us about that? Do you have any deets on it for us?
Yeah, definitely. I am a longtime Cool Cat holder, and I love my little fellow. He looks like a little writer. He's got a little like Robin Hood hat. He's very sweet. And I also have a cool pet that goes with him, and so that's really exciting. But then the Cool Cats float, I think it was just a little bit after the Thanksgiving Day parade last year that the establishment that runs all of that was looking ahead and looking to see who they could have be part of this. And there was a whole bunch of Web3 participants. And so they put it to a vote. And so it was really the most powerful community that was able to enable their NFTs, their digital collectibles to be represented. And the Cool Cats won by so much. And so, yeah, they are going to be featured in the Thanksgiving Day parade. And the Cool Cats actually released a prototype of the balloon, and so it's really it's really great. I'm going to go back through and see if I can find it and pin it in the nest here so that we can all look at it and be excited. And the blue cat has a little like stuffy sort of animal that's with him that's called Chugs, and it's like a little milk carton for a cat. Anyway, it's just really a clever thing, and that community is so powerful and just wonderful. And the creator Klon is just a lovely human. A couple of years ago, when I was at NFT NYC, I was able to meet him and go to Cooltopia and spend some time. And so it was really just a beautiful experience.
Yeah, Klon is so cool. I've heard him described as the Bob Ross of NFTs, and I feel like that's such a good description. I've watched some of his live drawing stuff. And for those who don't know, Cool Cats have been on this journey of their own. They launched, they got a lot of hype, floor price went high, but what really always like was this thing that was special about, well, there's a couple of things. First of all, the artwork is so approachable. It's like Hello Kitty. There you go. You can see it in the nest now with the balloon. It's like Hello Kitty, but this character Blue is so cute, and every cool cat has its own sort of personality. And Klon's artwork is really the basis of that. But then there's this whole thing. They've got the shadow wolves, the pets, and like so many NFT projects, they have tried and tried and tried to like bring storytelling and to like get beyond the hype of like, let's release more assets, let's make it for money, let's do this stuff. And I feel like Cool Cats, there's been some big, major bumps in the road, but I feel like they're really on their way to doing it. And this huge Cool Cat floating in like, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, that is just such a big thing. To have an NFT character that represents a whole ecosystem floating down, Madison Avenue. It's Madison Avenue that it goes down, right? Or is it Fifth Avenue? Or maybe both. Do you know, Rihanna?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain of it. I think Madison Avenue sounds exactly correct. And, I grew up out west, and so I'm a landmark driver instead of a street sign driver. And so I've been there. I can't even tell you how many times, but I'm not certain if it's Fifth Avenue or Madison Avenue. I know that Saks Fifth Avenue is part of the route. Anyway, I will get back to you.
Yeah, maybe it's even Broadway. I don't know.
Maybe.
I grew up out west too. That's funny, landmark driver, because that's how we give directions in Hawaii. People, you can always tell someone's a tourist because they're like, should I take the Highway 99? And we're like, what? Just drive towards town and
Right.
go towards the ocean when you hit this spot.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, so Cool Cats, very, very cool thing that's going on, and I think a very important part of the Web3 lifestyle. I see that our friends Katie Dozier and Timothy Green have joined us. We can invite them up on the stage to share some of the amazing things that they are doing in different places and times and with different words. I'll not wax poetical there, I promise. But does anybody else, Quanta, do you have any thoughts on the Cool Cats, the Thanksgiving Day Parade float?
I have a question actually regards the project. What exactly? I mean, I don't know about Cool Cats, but like y'all are the way y'all speak about it is it's like blue chip project. And I wonder what makes a project a blue chip project. Is it just the years? I mean, is that they've stayed strong? Uh, Rihanna, what makes you want to keep that NFT with you, make you a strong believer in Cool Cats?
Well, that is a great complicated answer, I think, for me. I'm drawn to people and communities that illustrate my own philosophies as a person, I guess is the best way to say that. And so with the Cool Cat, um, there the picture for one is very enticing. It looks like something a child might enjoy, a large spectrum of people might enjoy. I am fond of cats, and so I enjoy the kind of cleverness that comes with their imagination, with their little Chugs stuffed animal and the little like the little keychains that we got when we were at Cooltopia, and just like the different kinds of things that they portray, and it's almost like this wholesome, lovely community that seems welcoming to everybody and open to everybody. And so it really is the community and the people and the artwork. And so it's really all of those things together. And I really like my little fellow, and so I just am drawn to that kind of thing. And so yeah, that's what makes it important for me.
I'm going to jump in there too, and I think all of those reasons that Riona said are part of what makes a blue chip. I mean, obviously in 2021, 2022, the big driving factor that everybody was looking at was money, which I hate that was what was defining what a blue chip was. It was like the floor price. But for me, it's always been a combination of the community, the team, and the ability of the team to bring value to the community. That's like the big one. And that's one of the things that Cool Cats has constantly shown is the fact that their team, Klon, and they've had some transitions, but that they're willing to talk with the community, to work with the community, and to always try to make decisions that drive value back to the community. And they stay active. They continually participate in discussions. So there's a couple examples. They had this thing called Cooltopia that they created. It was like a game, and they released, the cool pets, and it didn't really work with the community. It didn't really work for a variety of reasons. And so this was a huge venture, and I think this is something else is that they're actually backed by quite a bit of money. They have partnerships with quite a bit of money, so they're not going to disappear. So, but it didn't really work. So they've completely changed it. They've kind of revamped what their whole strategy is. And um, going forward, they don't share all that information, but I think that's it. It's the team, the community, and how the team brings value, not just to the brand itself, but also to the community. That feels like what makes a blue chip to me. Does that answer your question, Quanta? Or I mean, do you have further questions about that? Because that's a really interesting train of thought.
No, I think yes. I mean, I was just wondering because I know I hear about yoga labs doing this, and I hear about World of Women doing. I mean, they're constantly in the news, and I haven't. Maybe I personally haven't come across Cool Cats news about them. So I was wondering what was their like their mantra, to make somebody kavit their to hold on to their PFPs. So yeah, I completely I agree with both of you. I mean about community. Yes, I think that is what keeps a company. Makes an investor believe in the company and want to hold on to it more than I think the PFP. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think also there's a cultural component that exists too in this, like at least in the NFT space, in the Web3 space, when we talk about something being a blue chip, it has to have a bit of a cultural component, something that drives it forward. And Yuga Labs is a great example of that. I mean, what they did a couple of things that really set them apart from everyone else. The first thing that they did is they continually drove value to their holders. That was something that Yuga just like pushed, and not just by dropping ApeCoin and creating the mutants and the dogs and all that stuff, but also by creating the mechanism where people that held Yuga assets, we can just say Bored Apes. So people that held Bored Apes created this community where they supported each other, where they were able to build new projects together. Riona and I have both been involved in ape-led projects, which is just a funny thing to say. But Storyverse is one example. Another one is Jenkins the Ballet, which is, both of those were kind of born from ape holders and getting the support of the ape community. So the community and the culture being attached is really important. And Cool Cats has been a little tighter, I think, with their IP. They haven't, but one of the things that made me initially want a Cool Cat was I went to Austin for South by Southwest a couple of years ago, and I was walking down the street, and this pizzeria owner had completely covered his little Italian pizza shop in Cool Cats, and you went inside and there was Cool Cats on the wall, there was Cool Cats on the door, and I was just like, oh my god, these are so cute, and I kind of want one. So I waited until the price dropped significantly, and found one that I liked, and became part of the community. And what I realized right away was that this is a community that supports each other, that looks out for each other. There's a bunch of token gated channels in their Discord, and there's even like side discords where people have like set up things for like creating media and different projects and things like that. So that is kind of the blue chip PFP thing, I think. And things that have an important cultural significance and aren't going to go away, and that will sort of represent the culture in the future. And I think we can definitely look at Bored Apes as being one of those, and we can look at Cool Cats. There's a few other projects. I mean, everybody has their favorites, but I think Yuga Labs, Cool Cats, maybe Gutter Cat Gang would be another one that that might have some cultural relevance because of all their connection to the NBA and things like that. And I'm a big Pixel Vault fan. I love what they've done with Chris Wall and comics, and of course Moonlinks. We can't forget Moonlinks. But we can move on to another topic if you guys want to, unless there's more that you'd like to talk about Cool Cats and blue chips and NFTs.
I just want to jump in and say I was able to Google the parade route for the Macy's Day Parade. And so it's really like Central Park West and then 6th Avenue. So if you're in New York City on Thanksgiving and you would like to visit, set up early. It says super early, and some of the best viewing is on Central Park West and then 6th Avenue. So yeah, jump in. That'd be amazing. And send us pictures. We would love to see it.
It's one of the things I love about you, Riona, is you are so on top of stuff. Like you're like, yep, I'm going to find that route, and you've done it. Okay, so we're going to move on. Let's talk about something else than PFPs and NFTs. And, we're reaching the point of Thanksgiving and holidays and things like that. And there's something that's on the minds of a lot of people right now in the NFT space or the Web3 space. And that's, how do you talk about Web3 or NFTs or crypto to your family? Because there is so much negative sentiment about it right now. I saw a post, what sort of inspired this topic was I saw a post yesterday where someone said that their boss found out they were in Web3 and had them give a talk to all their coworkers. And they were like, what the hell do I say? Should I even mention NFTs? Should I mention Web3? Should I mention digital collectibles? So I have some thoughts about this, but Riona, Quanta, Tim and Katie, if you want to come up, you're welcome. How do you talk about Web3 topics to your family or to people who aren't involved in the Web3 space? Do you, or do you just widely miss it?
Riona, you go ahead. I saw your mic on right now.
Well, I was going to jump in and invite you to jump in first because I'm really interested. My family is so inundated with Web3 that our whole house talks about it all the time practically. So I would love to share some of my thoughts, but please, you jump in. You go first.
Okay. So it's very awkward for me to if somebody is like, what are you doing? So I mean, I do share what I do IRL. They know that, but okay, I can't talk to them about what I'm doing here in Web3 because it goes over their head. I think like the first thing that comes is like the space is not tangible. You can't touch anything physically, like you're buying. You can't even touch the currency. You can't. The art that you buy, you don't hold the art. You don't hold the fashion. What are you doing? So that is something that is the first question. And the other thing is, so I think this was 2 weekends ago. I met a friend I haven't met in quite a while, and he writes stories, and it's just like as a hobby. And I wanted to broach the subject Oh, yeah, yeah. I've heard of NFTs. These were, you buy them and then you sell them, and then I know you make tons of money. And so that is like, okay, that's the feedback that I got, So how so then I I moved the topic from the word NFT and talk to them about what the technology actually is, what Web3 is, what it means to have something on a blockchain. It is not. It is not about. It's not about speculation, but it is about putting something a permanent as a permanent token, and what it can do for you, like now specifically for him, what it can do for him as a writer. And I was trying to visualize Rihanna when I was speaking to him, and I was like, I need to get him in touch with Rihanna so she can explain much better. But yes, this is what it is. It's also in my, like, I'm a fashion designer IRL, and I create I customize clothing. This is specifically for occasions, so these are all one of one. This is all one of one. I can never repeat a design again. So my the reason I would like to create a digital token for what I create for the clients is so that they have a certificate on the blockchain that tells them that okay, this is when it was made, this is who made it, and what went into making it, and how many hours, and what is the material, etc., and that you are the owner, and this was created by these artisans and this designer. So now the outfits that I make are things that basically are passed down generations. I mean, I've like, it's like the mother has worn it, and then the daughter has worn it, and then her sister has worn it. So it's something that is going to stay in that family for some time. So when somebody wants to look back at when it was made, what is this about? All the information is there. Like 2 days ago, I was looking at my mom's. She has these now these are Indian woven drapes, and fabulous embroidery, beautiful weaving. That you don't get that kind of artistry right now. I mean, these are things that are over and done with. It's very hard to get this kind. I mean, there will be, but it'll be very hard to find. I don't know where it was really made. I have no clue how many hours it took. I don't know anything about it, and I would love to know the history of that fashion, or that what my mom has. So this is the reason why I am keen on having NFTs for my clients, and I don't know how to talk to them about it, because they really aren't interested in having a crypto wallet. And I feel that they will be okay about having a crypto wallet for the NFTs when this ecosystem becomes more mainstream, when they need the crypto wallet for more things other than just to hold the NFT that I would give them. So yeah, this is my experience.
Quanta, I want to jump in there and I want to say that what an amazing use case that is. I mean, charting provenance and history and all the details of a real life garment, so that, heirlooms, I mean, not just garments, but, specifically with fashion, like I, I buy and sell old things. And sometimes that's clothes, so I have this fascination for old clothes. And sometimes I'll go to an estate sale and like be able to go through like an amazing closet and just imagine if there was, a QR code that would allow me to see who had owned that, who bought it, who made it, what they were thinking when they made it. I love this. Like, this puts so much value because fashion is storytelling. You know, every time you put something on, you are telling a story. And to be able to like have that story so closely held, is amazing. And I think that the technology hiccups that we face, those are big issues. And what we're going to see eventually is custodial wallets, or ways that people don't even have to have a wallet. It'll exist and they won't have to do anything. They'll use something to log into it that doesn't make them think, whether it's like facial recognition or the weird world coin thing with the eyeball. But I love that use case, and I love that idea. And as far as talking with your clients about it, I mean, I just want to say that it's difficult for everybody. I usually go with it's the next iteration of the internet. Sometimes I talk about the digital ownership economy, and if I go into Web3 and if it's appropriate, Patrick Lee, a friend of mine, he's one of the founders of Rotten Tomatoes, which is a big film review site. But he used this example that I thought was perfect. He said Web 1 is porn, Web 2 is Pornhub, where people upload their own videos and like can share it. And then Web 3 is OnlyFans, where people are actually like making their own videos live, and it completely owns the economy. So sometimes I use that if it's an appropriate thing, but I also use, in our writer circles, I use Kindle books with actual ownership. But man, I love this. Like, the provenance of fashion is such an awesome way to describe it. Before I go on anymore, because I've gone on enough, I want to say hi to Timothy Green, the editor of Rattle Magazine, one of our favorite poets in the world. Timothy, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. I wasn't really planning on speaking. I just like to listen in because I'm not really tuned into the NFT space. I just I like it, and so I want to know what's going on, but I have no idea. So I like to pop in and listen. But Katie and I did publish an article in LitMag News last week, which is one of the sort of like the industry online sort of discussion forums. It's one of the places people talk about things. And we were trying to explain, once again, NFTs to people who just have no idea what we're talking about and have only heard the bad stories, And we've been trying to do that several times, several different places over the last year. So it's interesting. I think we maybe did a good job for once because there wasn't much pushback or confusion. But the thing that I've realized over the course of doing it is just how much people are interested and curious, but they're so bogged down by jargon. And we have to find ways to explain things that doesn't use jargon. Even a phrase like secondary market was something that confused the publisher of LitMag News. We had to explain that meant like reselling, like a used bookstore, for her to understand it. So all these things just add up, where you have to. And I kind of think about, I read a lot of scientific papers. I'm really curious. I was just reading a really complicated paper about atmospheric physics on Mars. And there were a whole bunch of terms I had to look up because I'm not following that closely the field, So you have to look up all these jargon words that are sort of the admission price for understanding. And that's kind of how people feel when they're hearing about NFTs too. So I think it's really important not to use much jargon. I think we did that with this article. Katie came up with this metaphor of a notebook, just a public notebook. And that was the simplest way to explain it that people could understand. And I think they did. And so if anybody wants to check out that, it's like, I don't think it's the front article on LitMag News right now. I think it's down to number 2 or something because they publish pretty often. But we were expecting a lot of, pushback and arguments. I did have one person, give the whole environmental issue of how much it consumes resources. And I had to say, oh, no, that's not true with proof of stake systems instead of proof of work and all that. And there's some stuff like that came up, but very little. And I think we did a good job of explaining. And so maybe we explain it better from now on, now that we've figured it out.
That's amazing. And I think you guys are doing sort of the same thing that I'm doing, which is I usually try to use something that people understand to make it approachable rather than using jargon, rather than saying it's an immutable ledger, decentralized and distributed. Next iteration of the internet to me makes a lot of sense, and Kindle books with ownership makes a lot of sense. So if you're putting things, and even the porn thing, that's the reason why everybody understands what that is. So it's when you take things that people understand and you use that to describe it instead of the jargon, it really does make it a lot easier. That's a great point, Timothy. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it's not only trying to understand, what NFTs are. It's trying to understand a complete reversal of like all the economic assumptions that you have, because it's a total reversal for books of the economy. It's instead of mass producing things and trying to get as many people to buy a low value product as you can. It's the exact opposite of trying to share things widely, but then having that generating its own value. And that's something that's really difficult to grasp because it's so far removed from everything every writer has ever known. And so it's fun to try to explain that, but it's a big leap for people to make. So keeping it as simple as possible is really important.
And I just realized too, I use this term provenance all the time. And what I just realized is that I work in the antique and old goods business, and buy and sell rare books and things like that. So of course I understand what provenance is, but I think most people, they probably think it's a place in France, if anything else. So provenance is like where something comes from, the chain of ownership, the chain of who's owned it, who's passed it on. So where it was bought, how much it was bought for. And that's one of the things that blockchain is so good at, is it's so good at detailing that provenance. And you can even create, we say artificial scarcity with digital goods, but that's kind of jargon too, because what we're actually doing is we're creating an actual chain of provenance that demonstrates that things are one of one, or one of 10, something like that. Your point about jargon is so good, Timothy. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I'll keep listening to the rest and pop on if I have any other thoughts. But yeah, that's what we've been doing this week.
All right, and I jumped the queue and spoke before Riona, but Riona, it's your turn. Tell us about I'm picturing like the Brady Bunch with NFTs at your house.
Well, you're not far gone. And so we let's see. My son bought me my first NFT 3 Christmases ago. I don't even know. I would have to like look at it to see if I can figure it out. And then I was talking to him about, well, what is this even? And what's the what value does it have, besides the fact that it was a beautiful picture of a horse. And I grew up with horses, and so I really enjoy them, and they're beautiful for me. And so I was like, well, that's wonderful. I'm super happy to have this, but what is it? And so then, of course, I jumped right in, and I'm a writer, and I've been a writer a long time. And I was like, how can writing be this? This would be amazing. Number one, because it allows actual ownership of what is purchased. And then at that point, the resale of that, because writers never, when you go into a used bookstore, does that money that is spent to buy that used book funnel back to the author in any way. And I was like, wow, this is so very cool to be able to have that kind of digital ownership for the reader. And then if they do choose to sell the collectible down the line, then the money can filter back to the author. And so then everybody is benefiting, and it's a fair approach. And so we all like I have 4 children. I have a son and 3 daughters, and we all have digital wallets. We all have our MetaMask wallets, and we all, the kids will jump on and they'll be like, "Oh, look at this! I really like this." And then Quanta made my girls. I was able to jump in and get some of her beautiful fashion story squad one of ones, and I bought one for each one of my girls. And then she made very unique, beautiful for each one of my girls with their names on their t-shirts, and it's just so beautiful. And I just really feel like that'll be such a treasure for them. Talking about the collectible, and talking about the history provenance of all of these things. And so we as a family, we're we talk about Web3 all the time, like CD, you're a household name, Quanta, you're a household name, Katie, you're a household name. And so it's just this wonderful community that we all have here that comes into when we talk about at our dinner table. But then um outside of my home, I do a lot of things with writers in real life. And I was just at a writers convention, like conference, for the state of Montana, because that's where I'm from. And I went to several different speaking sessions, and I got recognized, which was really amazing. There was this woman that was speaking, and she saw me, and she's like, "I think I know you." Anyway, so it was really sort of fun, and but she knew me because I'm on Twitter, and she's on Twitter, and we follow each other. And she's like, But what is this Web3 stuff? I don't know anything about it." And so I started talking to her, and then two or three other people came and joined. And then pretty soon I've got 10, 15 people like huddled around me, and we're all talking about Web3 things. And they were just like, what? There's this whole other world that we have no idea about. And so I really feel like it's slowly starting to drift out into IRL things. And I spoke with the director of the conference, and CD, we have an opportunity to speak at it next year if you want to. And so that'll be in one of our meetings to talk about this. But it's just, I just talk about it because I'm so excited about it and I'm so proud of it. And I try really hard not to use NFT. I try really hard to talk about digital collectible, a token, something that is owned. And I talk a lot about Kindle, and that you're leasing the right to read this book. You don't actually own it. And if Amazon went under, well, so does all of your books. Like, and so many people that I know, including myself, have spent so much money to have this digital library that I believed even that I owned, and that's not true. I'm only leasing the right to read them, and they actually don't belong to me. And so I'm just a little sad about that because I have a huge library of digital things, but um, I can't wait until it transitions to then I can just actually own it, own the works by Stephen King, and own the works by my favorite authors, and that they're part of my collection, just like my actual books that are on my bookshelves. And so um, I don't know. I chattered a lot, so I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited. And Timothy, thank you so much. And if you guys have a link to your article, please share it up in the nest so that we can read it and we can refer to it and talk about it in Vagobond magazine. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, Riona, the royalties thing is it's one of the things that like made all of us writers so excited. And I wish Cryptoversal was here. I know he has some really strong opinions about the royalties. But I'm not convinced that royalties are gonna remain a part of with the SEC actions and the things that, the US government has sort of gone on this rampage against a lot of the speculative NFT stuff. The money got involved, and when the money gets involved, the government always gets involved. And unfortunately, for all of us who were excited about royalties and the sharing of secondary sales, things like that, I'm not positive that that's going to be a viable road in the future. But the death of the metaverse, the death of NFTs, the death of crypto, all of these things have been vastly over exaggerated. And one of the places, for example, Amazon had talked about creating an NFT marketplace and doing this thing. And we wrote about it in Vagobond magazine. We talked about it on Spaces. But what's funny is it never materialized. They stopped talking about it, but it doesn't mean that they stopped working on it. There have been more Web3 patents this year than any year in history, which sort of makes sense given the space is actually growing and the technology is getting better. And the technology will never be as bad as it is today. It will always get better. But one of the places where they have been focusing and where there has been a lot of energy is in gaming. And Amazon, a lot of people don't know this, but Amazon is very involved in gaming. They have a whole gaming division, and they've been expanding a little bit into the digital asset, digital collectibles, really NFT gaming market. Now, they're not alone in that either. You have other ones that have started that. Animoca Brands, which I believe is connected also with Cool Cats, but Animoca Brands is releasing a Bitcoin token and creating their own metaverse. There's a Web3 game from a huge Web2 game publisher called Zynga, and Zynga has launched a Web3 game, or the basis of it, which is Sugartown. It was a free mint. So this was a free mint that people were able to mint if they got on the list, and it's gone up as high. I haven't seen it today, but I think yesterday it went as high as like 0.42 ETH, which is like, close to $1,000 for something that minted for free a week ago. So there's definitely still money in the space. There's definitely still interest in the space, and there's definitely still a lot of things happening. One of the weirdest that I saw in this past couple of weeks was, and again, I pay a lot more attention to the NFT space and the PFP space than I think a lot of people do. But there's a project called Nakamigos, which also was a free mint. It went up, I don't know, 0.7, 0.8 ETH at one point. It was about a year ago. And they had been teasing they were going to release a new project. Well, they announced the new project. The new project's going to launch in a couple of days. There was some FUD, that's fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and some like different negative sentiment that came out around it. But one of the interesting things was they released this IP gaming license with their new project. And the IP gaming license it's very specifically built for Web3 gaming. So what they're doing is they're charting their future and putting it in the Web3 gaming space 100%. And with this IP gaming license was really interesting because it allowed anybody to use their IP to build games with. So you don't have to be a holder. You don't have to hold their stuff. But they've kept their license for the Nakamigos the way that it was. And we don't have to get into IP licenses and everything. But I do feel like Web3 gaming is another space where a lot of energy is going quietly right now. It's very quiet about it, but you have so many companies that are building these games. And when you start talking about the Web3 gaming space, you have to start talking about metaverse, right? And when you look at Roblox, which is huge, right? And Roblox has built this entire metaverse of games. And my daughter plays it. I'm sure if you have kids, they are on Roblox. They meet up with their friends, they talk, they chat, they hang out, they play games. I remember last year, my daughter and her friend who lives 1,000 miles away, they went to a beauty contest together, and they bought this fashion, and they walked down the runway, and they like competed in the beauty contest. So it all goes back to fashion and wearables. And at some point, the VR and AR stuff is going to become so good that you're going to meet with somebody and you're going to flip down your glasses or whatever, and you're going to be able to look at the virtual items that they're actually wearing. And it's not going to be the problem of this fast fashion filling up landfills with old clothes, which is a big environmental problem, much bigger than the problem Timothy mentioned, which was the energy usage of NFTs. Fast fashion is a huge environmental and resource and energy problem. So now it's me chatting too much, but I've talked about all that stuff: gaming, fashion, everything else. But Quanta, Riona, Tim, if you want, Katie, if you want, what do you guys want to talk about? And feel free to hitchhike onto the topics that I've thrown out.
I wanna ask you. I mean, you had shared something about somebody taking a loan on 276 Supreme T-shirts, and they had taken, they had got an NFT. So I'm really curious about that. Could you share something about that?
Sure, that story is really fascinating to me. So what happened is Supreme is a streetwear brand, and the Supreme T-shirts, the box logo T-shirts, these can be really valuable, especially if they've never been worn. And so these are T-shirts that were bought. They were basically wrapped or packaged safely, vaulted, we can say, and then they were put away. Well, this guy who owned these 200 and some T-shirts, he then I think the T-shirts sold in an auction, actually Christie's or Sotheby's. So then the owner of the t-shirts then worked with this NFT company that actually issued him NFTs for the t-shirts. He sent the t-shirts to them. They vaulted them. The NFT was issued as a digital asset that represented ownership of the t-shirts. Whoever owned the digital asset could redeem the asset and then claim the t-shirts. And then that NFT, which represented those t-shirts, he was able to go to another company and actually use that as collateral for a loan to get more than $1 million in cash. So essentially, that's the story. There's a couple different steps there. I don't know all the different companies involved, but vaulting t-shirts, representing the physical asset, the IRL asset, with a digital asset, which is the NFT, and then using the value of that NFT as collateral to actually get a loan for $1 million, which, by the way, if you go to a bank and you want to get a loan for $1 million, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. You have to prove ownership. You have to show where the asset is. You have to sign a gazillion papers. You have to do all of this stuff. It's not going to be a matter of, hey, here's my asset. I'd like $1 million. There's a lot to it. But in this case, they were like, here's my asset. I own it. It's in my wallet. I'd like $1 million, please. Custody of the asset passed to the loaner, and the loaner passed the $1 million. Amazing. And this to me blew my mind in terms of like a real world use case and simplifying of monetary transactions, and also the fact that banking the unbanked, which is another one. This guy didn't even need a bank account except to collect the $1 million that were deposited into it.
Yeah, that's something that is so interesting, because who would have thought that a garment, a t-shirt, can be used as collateral? I think like the first use case I came across was G Money's 90cc. You could vault your 90cc t-shirt and procure a loan, but it wasn't much. It was like $150, but at least it proved that a basic round neck black t-shirt has the potential to be put up as collateral. And I think this is because the t-shirt was it was a network t-shirt, is what I'd like to call it. I mean, they had an NFC chip, and then they had a digital certificate that gave all the information about it. And it they didn't like an owner of the 90cc t-shirt wouldn't have to go to a third party to authenticate it. This was it. And I think there is so much potential in digital fashion in this aspect.
Yeah, and it's to me, one of the things that sort of blew my mind was these are t-shirts that will never be worn, right? They're physical garments, t-shirts that will never be worn. Essentially, those t-shirts have been turned into currency, and it's just such a fascinating, like sort of mind-blowing concept to me that real world t-shirts are never going to be worn and are worth so much money. But imagine if there was a virtual version of that t-shirt that came along with the ownership of the vaulted shirts, and you could put that t-shirt on in the metaverse and actually sort of flex and wear it that way too. It's all so fascinating. Let's talk about another topic. Let's move on to the death of the metaverse and how it is overrated and overexposed, and the death of NFTs and crypto and everything else. I can't count the number of times that I've heard that Bitcoin is dead, or that NFTs are dead, or that the metaverse is dead. Do you guys hear this stuff, or is it just me that hears this?
No, I haven't come across this actually, about the space being dead. Uh, I mean, I think it's pretty, where Ethereum is now, I think it's like at a stable level. It just fluctuates a bit up and down. So the bust that was there and the influx that was there, I think that the technology of Web3 is coming to the forefront. Earlier, it was just like everybody jumping into the pool, not realizing what exactly it is, but just jumping in for for the sweet. And that's died down. So I don't think this thing about the metaverse dying. I mean, there is so much happening. People are, at least in fashion, we have IRL brands that are opening stores or they're having fashion shows. Music NFTs are getting really big, which I don't know why, but um, I know that we are working towards a music issue for October. And it's been like since the last 2 weeks, my Twitter feed has been, it's incessant with somebody or the other talking about music NFTs. Even like NFT now as is, they have, they're talking about how you can make music NFTs, and they have this article for artists. So I don't know. Is it because we we're working towards this issue? That's why this is coming. That's why I'm reading a lot about this, but which is really interesting to know. I don't think this space is dying.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here too and say I have heard people talk about, oh, this is dying, and I think that the correct term maybe it's evolving, and so or it's being revolutionized, it's changing. And so I can't imagine the people that I surround myself with on a daily basis, or that I work with on a daily basis, CD and Quanta and Greg and ER Donaldson and everybody at PageDAO and all of these people. I can't imagine all of them disappearing, because this is such an amazing place to be, and we are building something that is so needed and so looked for. I mean, we're building something that people need and they don't even know they need it yet. And so I just, I, it, going back to what I was saying, I really think that it's evolving. It is changing from what it was at the beginning of all of this to what it's going to become. And so that is super exciting to be part of.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I feel like it's not only is it changing, but it became something that none of us really wanted it to become. That whole focus on the money and like just money, 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 money. Like I saw this whole influx of people that brought. They weren't interested in the technology. They weren't interested in the art. They weren't interested in the poetry, the music, the film. They were just interested in buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling. And that is the most boring shit in the world, just the buying, selling stuff. It's like you don't even get to have an emotional investment. And I love that, Quanta, you're seeing so much music stuff on your timeline. I'm seeing a lot of that too, and I don't think it's because we haven't really publicly talked about the October issue, which is going to be our music issue. I've been working on the interview that I did with Emily Lazar, getting that ready, and oh my god, man, she is so cool. She is so cool, and I really love her journey. I'm not going to share anything about it yet, but her journey is so awesome in the Web3 space and in the crypto space and in the music space. But yeah, so we've got a lot of music stuff going on. And Quanta, I should also mention that we have been curating a playlist for the October issue. So Quanta's idea was since it's a music issue, we should curate a playlist. And we've got some amazing music on it. If you guys want to contribute to that playlist for the October issue that we're going to share, you can go into the Vagobond Discord. You can just go into the playlist channel and share your favorite songs, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube, however you like. We'll put together a playlist for you guys, and you guys will be able to listen to the issue, listen to the music of the issue, I suppose you could say. And speaking of which, we're definitely going to have some Emily Lazar stuff on there because she's awesome, and we're going to bring her on as a guest to this show one of these days, but probably not until the issue comes out. So there's all of that. And music is such a big part of Web3. It really is. If you guys aren't listening to music because technology has gotten hard or anything else, maybe you saw my recent gripe post, which, Quanta, thank you for inspiring that. Listen to music. Yesterday, I spent all day listening to music, and it made it such a better day. So listen to some music. Well, we're right at the end of the hour here.
I think we definitely could close it out. But for people who are listening now or in the future, and if you would like to submit something to Vagobond Magazine for publication, please go right ahead and visit vagobondmagazine.com. There is a submission tab there. Just go ahead and click it, follow the directions, and send us something that we can include in our magazine that you feel passionate about. So yes, CD, back to you.
Amazing. Vagobond Magazine is the Web3 Lifestyle magazine, and we're constantly exploring what that means and helping break it down and helping make it more manageable. Ultimately, if you're a creative, we want to support you. So tell us about what you're creating. Share with us. Tell us what your challenges are. And hopefully we will find the product market fit for creators and creatives and Web3 and all of this other stuff, beautiful stuff that we talked about today, to be a part of your life. This is Vagobond Magazine, VMGM. I guess this is a great place to just say, open up your mics and say sayonara, or however you like to say goodbye. Aloha.
Much love, everyone. Until next time.
See you all next time. Have a lovely week.